Satan wants the kids. This is where it gets really deep. Kids have kickstarted the metaverse. Today's children carry the world in their pockets and enjoy instant access to all types of content. They don't just choose among channels. They think in terms of what exactly they want to do right now. A game, a video, or an app, alone or with friends, consuming or creating. Could any development disrupt such vast choices? Dave Baszucki, CEO of Roblox, says yes. He believes the metaverse is arguably as big a shift in online communications as was the telephone or the internet. The metaverse refers to immersive, global, always on, omni-experiential spaces for entertainment, learning, play, creation, communication, socializing, and more. Its potential dimensions are still emerging, but imagine the convergence of a virtual and augmented reality technologies resulting in a navigatable 3D immersive world containing a near infinite content options for any audiences or players. More than in most games and online experiences that precede this, the metaverse users will build and shape the space they use. Given the extensive personal agency they acquire, their creation will be as much a part of the experience as consumption. So the way they're getting children now is that they're not just going to be there to play, they're going to be there to create. So now that you're going to create your own universe, why wouldn't you want to live in it? As our brother Gil said, this is like the self-deification. I am God, I create my own reality. This is coming from that Eastern pagan philosophical ideas is now becoming a reality where you can become your own God. But this is from the garden. This is what Satan was promising to Eve. You will be like a God. Baszucki should know, Roblox, sometimes thought as the YouTube of gaming, is the best current proto metaverse with 202 million monthly active users who invested 9.7 billion hours on the platform in the first quarter of 2021. It's 9.7 billion hours that those people weren't praying. Its growth exploded during the pandemic while so many kids were at home full time. This is by design. Now watch this. Is the metaverse meant for kids? The metaverse will have kids-safe and adult-only neighborhoods. Uniquely though, users including kids and teens will themselves build much of the metaverse and shape its ethos. So if I'm a kid building a universe, and we know how kids are naughty, aren't they gonna build secret places where they can hide and do secret things? But guess what? They're already in the metaverse, so they're already hiding. Roblox Baszucki's 8 characteristics of metaverse parallel the social gaming preferences and desires of Generation Z and Alpha. Identity, avatars that reflect real or imagined selves and remain present and consistent everywhere. Friends, the ability to socialize and play with real world friends, but also befriend and interact others in the world. Immersiveness, engagement in a fully formed alternative world. Ubiquity, the ability to create and play from anywhere on all types of devices. Variety, accommodation of diverse user interest habits via deep, wide content. Low friction, easy onboarding and transitions to encourage new things. Economy, internal commerce. Our brother was talking about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, perhaps with real world items as well, with the ability to pay those who provide goods and services. Trust and civility, a welcoming, equitable, diverse kind of space. Add to these elements the intrinsic motivation of building the world they'll inhabit, not to mention learning to code while doing so. The metaverse is spawning a new generation of designers and entrepreneurs. And I've put on the side here, it's impossible to comprehensively police the internet. So the same goes for the metaverse. It will be an even easier platform for predators to groom children. A report by the World Health Organization concludes 80% of children between the ages of 11 and 17 aren't physically active enough. So it's actually going to start killing our children physically just to spend all their time in the metaverse. The metaverse will provide a more deeply immersive false reality where the agendas of the world can be implanted, imprinted, and explored by children unbeknownst to their parents. What we need to understand, if you've ever watched any science fiction movies from like the 70s to now, this will blur reality. We have lived long enough without stuff like this to know the difference. Our children will not know the difference. The metaverse to them will be as real as this real life is. There's not gonna, you won't be able to convince them it's not, because they will be a part of its creation. Do you see the deception of Satan? They're gonna be part of creating another reality. So therefore you won't be able to tell them it's not real, because they created it, they live there, all of their friends are there. Here is what's funny. Even the world is concerned, right? And remember what I read about the beginning about our role in the world. Hear what sinners are saying, or the world are saying about the metaverse. So what parents need to know about the coming metaverse? It says, sorry, something at the top of my screen is blocking me from seeing what I need to read. It says, what's unique about the 2021 iteration of the metaverse is that it includes fully immersive, and this is going to speak to your question, Sister Beulah, fully immersive 3D, VR, and AR worlds that transcend screen viewing by putting the user inside the game spatially. This is an entirely new and more personal experience that, according to a 2019 study conducted by Facebook, can impact how bullying, harassment, and lewd content, as well as positive content, are experienced by users in the metaverse. Previous research conducted in 2008 by Thomas Baumgartner, a neuroscientist at the University of Zurich, found distinct differences in how adult brains process VR versus the brains of children. Adults appear to control and regulate their VR experience, their VR presence experience, by critically evaluating and monitoring the presented virtual environment, stimuli. Children, on the other hand, did not, or at least to a greatly reduced extent. Yeah, so the adults were able to control and regulate their virtual reality presence and critically evaluate what was happening, the environment. Children couldn't, right? Or if they did, it was to a reduced extent to the to how the adults were. So the children weren't really capable of being able to control what they were doing or understanding this is not reality. Baumgartner's research team wrote, one consequence might be that one should be more reluctant to expose children to emotional virtual stimuli as currently practiced. So whereas an adult, something might happen to them in virtual reality, they're not going to have an emotional reaction because they can assess that this is not real. A child is going to have an emotional reaction because their brain is not developed enough to understand this is not reality. Now, you think about it, like I said, we are the people who remembers life before this. In 30 years' time, those children won't remember life before this. So they may have even grown up with half of their life spent in a fake reality. So it's going to be real to them. Stanford professor Jeremy Bailenson, who has conducted his own research into the effects of VR on children, also suggests the metaverse is a completely different challenge compared to monitoring the effects of console video games on children. Film or television or video watched on a tablet may convey sounds and sights captured from the real world. But when we interact with these media, we are almost always aware of their artificiality. They are coming to us from screens or devices held in our hands, writes Bailenson in his 2018 book, VR Experience on Demand. But VR engulfs us. We slide, occluding goggles over our eyes, and cover our ears with headphones, overriding our two primary sense systems with simulated digital signals. VR is the apotheosis of every media fear and fantasy you've ever had. Listen to what this guy is saying. Apotheosis means the highest point in development of something, the culmination or climax. So Brother Gil, when you said that this is the culmination or climax, you wasn't wrong. And also means the elevation of someone to divine status, or the glorification of a subject to divine levels, and commonly the treatment of a human being or any other living thing or an abstract idea in the likeness of a deity. What this man said is very key. What the metaverse is bringing obsession to the level of idolatry It's bringing the idea that we can be God. It's bringing back that garden trickery to Eve, and it's making it real. This VR is meant to be divine. This is what they're intending it to be. This is the culmination of all of that philosophy of the self and self-deification. This is it. Because in this world, you can build it and be who you want to be, not who God has called you to be and who God has made you to be. So you want to be a woman and you were born a man? In this world, you can live that life and no one will know the difference, and no one will be able to tell you no. Why? Because you created that avatar, you built the world you live in, or you go to live in that world that was built for people like you with gender dysphoria or whatever they want to call it. Here's this now. Parents need to be aware of what their kids parents need to be aware of what their kids are playing with and who they are playing with. To some degree, we've been here before, as lawmakers have repeatedly examined the effects of video games on children. In those cases, the 2D screen-based gaming console dynamic shielded the player from the full spectrum of the game's 3D world. But what happens when you virtually immerse the player's entire body into the game, giving users the spatial sense that they are actually inhabiting the fictional world around them? When compared to non-immersive VR condition, watching a television screen, children in VR showed a significant deficit in inhibitory control, writes Bailenson. How children react to media is of particular concern because their prefrontal cortex, that's the part of the brain, the area that is associated with emotion and behavior regulation, is not completely developed. This is coming to rewire our children from the start, so they can't be saved because they are not even almost human. We talk about transhumanism. This is what it's coming to do. It's coming to almost turn your children into a transhuman because their brain would be messed up from so early. They won't even be processing information how normal people do. So then how would they even be able to be saved when they can't even make a decision of their own free will? That is one of the central challenges facing the metaverse. Immersion to such a degree that reality and fantasy are blurred to an extent that the cultural impacts of traditional 2D console gaming may pale in comparison. It's Fortnite on steroids, Michigan State University professor Rabinda Ratan told Quartz. It's already hard to monitor what your kids are doing, but at least you can look over their shoulder at a screen. When they are in VR, they are blocked off. You can't really see what they're doing. Parents need to understand kids' games, what they're playing, why they are playing them, and who they are playing them with. You have to be an informed consumer right along with them. As families transition along with Facebook and other big tech companies from traditional online interactions to fully immersive metaverse experiences, having a better handle on the differences can help parents better navigate this often mysterious landscape as it evolves. Does anybody want to comment on what they've just heard?
Yeah, just to say that a lot of the developers of these technologies, they don't allow their kids to use any of the stuff.
No.
So yeah, like they don't allow their kids to have, tablets or phones or anything like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if the developers of these things also don't let their kids even have it.
Yeah, because they know exactly what it is and exactly what it's doing, but the love of money.
Yeah, I'm just going to quickly say,
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, I love the way you presented that. That was so powerful and impacting. And I'm showing my age somewhat a bit here, but I remember a song by John Lennon. I don't know if everyone online remembers John Lennon. He was a member of the Beatles, and the 2 points. He famously made a quote some years ago prior to him being assassinated. He said, "We're going to be more popular than Jesus."
Yes. Yeah.
And he was held to account for that, unfortunately, in the assassination. But more importantly, there's a song which is I'm not sure if some of you may remember. It was called "Imagine."
Yes, I know that song.
And
Yeah.
the lyrics from that song, you know, have always stuck with me. There's a particular line that song has never actually, it's always troubled my spirit, because there's a line in that song where he says, "Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try.
Wow.
No, something. You know, no, something, no religion to die for. But imagine there's no heaven." And when you were speaking, the word that came to me, was stuck in my head, the spirit point in my head was imagine, imagine. And the metaverse is based on someone's imagination, now brought into reality, and now come in and imagine what you want, and it will be.
Yes.
And you know, and it will destroy, eradicate a person's capability to understand God, because you are, as you already put, and we argued that you are now a God in your mind. But it's wow, for me, it's just imagine. And that John Lennon song just came back to me. Imagine there's no heaven, because this is what the metaverse is about. You know, I'll leave it there.
Wonderful. Yeah. And
Sister Kim had Sister Kim was on.
Go ahead.
I think being in the education system, I can also see the connection, how education is also going to become a massive root of evil, because it's going to be pushing these agenda to our children, because they also have to start moving towards technology. Think about ICT, they're now teaching more coding and stuff like that. And it's becoming more of a virtual world. Think about it. We're at the moment, lockdown had such a major leap in terms of virtual teaching.
Yeah, this is, as the brother said, it's a multi-level attack. And the enemy is a planner. And if you start to connect the dots, you can see how it all fits together, because this wouldn't have been as impactful. It would still come, but it wouldn't have been impactful if it was done before, if they just dropped the metaverse thing before the pandemic. But because so much of us now, because as our brother said, we've been primed for this, adults are going to accept this just as much as children, but it's the children, as we have seen, who are more susceptible, because their brains are still being formed. Yeah, and it's the whole idea of the internet kind of being the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, of the enemy going after the innocent Adam and Eve, right, and trying to trick Eve with this lie. But Satan always wants the kids, because if he can get you from a child, he can do so much more with you. Because if he can have you from that age just being programmed for evil, man, you become a powerful weapon. But we also know, if God gets you when you're young, you become an even greater powerful weapon for him in the kingdom. This is why we need to focus, those of us who are parents, on training the child. The meaning of that scripture means giving your child an appetite for God and things of God from early, because when they're old, the scripture is not a lie. When they're old, when they come to maturity, they will be able to comprehend the difference between the metaverse and reality. Yeah, the scriptures are speaking to us. We must give our children an appetite for God and the things of God, and train them in the right way. And as our brother who was on our family day, training your children how to use the internet. He said you wouldn't let your child use a knife without showing them how to use it. You wouldn't let them just drive your car without training them. It's the same for the internet. We can't afford to be so ignorant and blasé and give our child a tablet and leave them with the tablet. You're literally you're literally sacrificing your child to the fire. You give them a tablet. You know what a child can do in 2 clicks. And the thing is, it's just a link, because even if you look on YouTube now, they have bots on YouTube and Instagram. And so these things are it's AI, artificial intelligence. They put links to pornography on all manner of videos and things. So your children could be innocently watching something, and then they click, and then bam, the innocence is gone in a second. We have to be far more careful about what we are allowing our children to consume. Now listen to this, and more worldly concern. Reading through the hundreds of comments, there were several prominent themes. This is about the metaverse. People were open about their strong dislike and distrust of Zuckerberg, and are highly skeptical of the metaverse because of his involvement. I'm going to ask you all to give me just an extra 15 minutes today because I really want to finish this off. Many falsely believe that he owns the metaverse, virtual and augmented reality. A sizable number of people were afraid of what would happen in virtual reality, especially to children and young people. There is also a fear that older people will get squeezed out of emerging technologies. There is backlash against social media, interactive, and immersive technologies. It seems that folks are uninformed or misinformed about this space. However, a certain percentage are excited about the future and prospects. Here's one comment I found really good. If this does become a reality, it will be the worst step human race has ever taken and a step backward in evolution. How anyone can be excited by this is beyond me. I'm sure that all this new technology could reap great benefits for us all. However, it is being squandered and misused by the few, promising untold riches and all your dreams come true, alternative life to the many, which sadly and inevitably be worse for the most. So people are aware. Now, my thing is, we are the salt of the earth and the light of the world. We must always see ourselves as a solution to this, as the church and the body. I want us to just view this quickly about Roblox.
We are revealing a shocking element slipped into some kids' internet games. Roblox, one of the most popular kid gaming platforms, it reaches more than 90 million users monthly across the world. Now parents are on high alert after finding pornographic images in some games. A warning, this story may not be suitable for all viewers. Our Lauren Freeman explains what's going on and what you can do to keep your kids safe.
Their image is disturbing for most adults to see, and they're quite possibly in a game your child plays. George Tudor was horrified and angered by what his 6-year-old daughter saw.
Unfortunately, we walked into the room, looked at the screen, and it looked like someone, I guess, had hacked into the game and posted a pornographic picture of a woman on the side of one of the walls of the building.
Tudor reached out to Roblox, but couldn't take back what his daughter saw.
Felt bad, really, just having her innocence essentially taken away like that.
And it's not an isolation.
Let me just help you to comprehend those who don't really understand. In these games where they're in like their own world, someone can come and post a pornographic image and it will just sit there like a poster on the wall. This has happened. It will continue to happen. And this is just how simple it is. Because as Sister Cheryl was saying, you don't know who's playing this game. You don't know if it's a 3-year-old or a 30-year-old.
Related incident. Other parents have found similar images. To get to the root of the problem, you need to understand how Roblox works.
You click on that.
Think of it as a YouTube for video games. A gamer makes an account, then it's free to create and upload a game.
This one, I feel like this is going to be popular.
But an open platform can turn into open season for game creators with bad intentions. Tammy Baumick is a Roblox marketing VP.
If there is an incident like that, we work with parents to make sure that we're responding as quickly as possible.
Roblox says over the past 2 years, they've hired more than 800 people to moderate their site. They've also implemented several different privacy features, but it is still important that parents ask questions about what their child is doing. For George Tudor, it's about having honest conversations with your child.
For something like that, you're not going to be in trouble at all. We want to know about things like that because our #1 goal as parents is to protect our kids.
If you see inappropriate content, report it to Roblox immediately.
They can't police it. Anybody can go on there and create a game. And if you go on YouTube and just type in Roblox adults content, you can see people talking about all the adult content in the games that are currently there and that have been there. They can't police this. And they don't care to police it because it makes them...
We are revealing...
Listen to this. BBC News, mother sues Meta and Snap over daughter's suicide. This is a shocking and horrendous story. A Connecticut woman is suing Instagram's parent company Meta and Snap Inc., alleging an addiction to their social media platforms caused the suicide of her young daughter. Selena Rodriguez, an 11-year-old resident of the town of Enfield, committed suicide last year. The lawsuit alleges that her death was caused by the potentially dangerous features of the platforms. The case comes amid growing fears over the impact of social media on children. According to the statement from the Social Media Victims Law Center, which filed the suit in California on behalf of Selena's mother, Tammy, the young girl suffered an extreme addiction to Instagram and Snapchat. How was an 11-year-old even using Instagram and Snapchat? I don't know. Ms. Rodriguez confiscated her daughter's devices on multiple occasions, only to have her run away to use social media. On multiple occasions, Selena received mental health treatment for her addiction. Can I just remind you, this girl is 11. The statement said one outpatient therapist who evaluated Selena remarked she had never seen a patient as addicted to social media. Before her suicide on 21st of July, 2021, Selena had allegedly suffered from sleep deprivation and depression for months. Particularly after the COVID-19 pandemic began, she spent more time on social media. Additionally, the lawsuit alleges Selena was repeatedly solicited for sexually exploitative content, which she ultimately shared. The images were then leaked and shared by her classmates, leading to a deterioration of her mental state and eventually to her suicide. The lawsuit, which was filed in a federal courtroom in California on Friday, alleges that both social media giants knowingly and purposefully designed and marketed products that were harmful to a significant number of underage users. The defendants intentionally created an attractive nuisance to young children, but failed to provide adequate safeguards from the harmful effects they knew were occurring on their wholly owned and controlled digital premises, the lawsuit says. In a statement sent to the BBC, a Snap spokesperson said the company was devastated to hear of Selena's death, although it declined to comment on the lawsuit specifically. And they say they're talking about nothing being more important to them than the well-being, of their users, which is a lie. In November, a former Facebook product manager, Frances Hogan, told the lawmakers that the company was harming children, but alleged that it won't make necessary changes because they have put astronomical profits before people. We know that the love of money is the root of all evil. They are not policing these things correctly or carefully. Why? Because these things are made to attract children. As the lawsuit says, that the defendants, which is Facebook and Snap, they create an attractive nuisance to young children. That is their purpose. They want children to use it. They need their eyes on it. Now we're going to finish up. I don't know how I'm going to do this in 15 minutes.